Welcome back to another episode of Card Smarter.
Not harder.
I'm Stefan. This is
My name is Daniel.
and we are here on episode number
Three.
three,
Two and a half.
two and a half, 2.5, 3.
Yeah.
This isn't gonna be as long as the previous episodes. We're gonna be,
We're going to be talking about something a little bit different today. So we're going to be talking about some fun, fun for me, maybe
Yeah.
not fun for other people. But we're going to be talking about something a little bit different today. And we're going to be talking about some decisions that Stefan and I made that we may or may not had to have justify. Yeah.
Yeah.
So some of the things like thinking about, have you ever had to justify spending a lot of money for the intro offer or the welcome offer?
yeah.
Have you ever been blinded by the number of Rakuten points that you got to buy a new pair of shoes? Right?
Me, I'm not guilty, but
I'm guilty. So today we're going to talk about credit card confessions. We each have something that we're going to share with y'all today. One of our very own confessions, if you will. I'll get things started. So I would say back in January, I got the Built MasterCard. So we talked about that last video.
yes.
It was a complete and total secret. So I wanted to get points on rent.
Yeah.
I was just blinded by the points. It was a no annual fee card. So I was like, game changer.
It's a no-brainer, right?
I'm
You're
thinking
paying rent.
That's it. Yeah,
You got to get something back for it, and if a card gives something back for paying that rent,
that's it.
you got to hop on that. For
I was
sure.
just thinking about how I can get like 30,000 points per year, 40,000 points per year. Like those are flights somewhere, right?
100%.
And instead of talking to my partner, my girlfriend, who we both pay rent,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about, I got this card. Now, how am I going to bring it up to her? How am I going to like pave the way to make this like an easy conversation? And I just kept pushing it back until one day her and I are eating at a restaurant. And what I do is I start talking about some of the benefits of the card. Because
Mr. Sales Pitch Daniel, he's
Literally.
like, hold on, I need to sell this to my girlfriend just so she's like,
literally
all right.
without trying to sell it, I just start talking about the benefits, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, the place that we're at right now,
Yeah.
this is actually on the Built network. So when I pay with my gold card, I'm going to get 4 points per dollar. And then with the Built network, because my gold card is linked to it, I'm going to get another 3 points per dollar. So I'm like, let's do the math. If we spend $100 for this dinner, that's 700 points. And she was like, oh, wow, yeah, that's really cool. And then she goes, so you got the card, didn't you?
Already making this.
Literally. And I'm just like, yeah.
Even it wasn't
Yeah.
even
So that was thing number one. And then as the months progress, I'm talking to her about it now that she knows that I have the card, and I'm trying to tee it up like, let me pay for rent. Like, I got everything set up. We Venmo our landlord every month.
Yeah.
And Built it works with Venmo. So I did all my research and I set everything up. I created the accounts. I linked everything to Venmo, and I'm like, money in the bag.
Easy. This
Easy.
is light work. And question for the Built, what you can pay rent through, what is it? Venmo, Zelle,
Venmo, PayPal.
or no, it's not Zelle. It's
Yeah.
Venmo, PayPal.
Check.
Those are the only three.
Or if you link your card to the actual payment system.
I see.
So if you can pay with a credit card online, Built will waive the 3% fee,
Huh.
which
Interesting.
is nice.
Yeah.
But for me, none of those applied. So
You're just like-
Venmo is the way that we go. And I was watching all the videos on YouTube, and I'm just like, this is going to be so easy. All I do is just pay with Venmo. Easy, no problem. And then my girlfriend was like, all right, we'll give it a shot. And lo and behold, rent day comes up.
coming.
I have my
It's coming.
approval. Exactly. Approval through Built. Everything is set. And then I wake up in the morning so excited.
You're
Wake
like,
up in the
"I can't
morning
wait.
so excited.
I can't wait to use it."
Can't wait to send this Venmo. Can't wait to see the points. And so I send the Venmo payment to our landlord, and I get an error. It says that this payment cannot be completed at this time.
And now his heart's dropping. He's like, wait, what the heck?
I am flipping out. I am absolutely freaking out. And my girlfriend's at the gym, so obviously nobody knows what's
You're like, oh,
happening
I
right
can't
now.
tell. I need to figure this out before she comes home.
Literally, so I need to figure this out now.
Yeah.
And I try to send the payment one more time, and it still doesn't work. And then so what I do is I panic even more,
Uh-oh.
and I remove my Built account from Venmo as a payment method, like as a bank account.
Yeah.
And then what I do is I then re-add it as a bank account, right? To try and like refresh everything. Little did I know, I completely forgot that it takes 24 to 48 hours for you to verify it as a bank account. So they have to send you those 2 deposits. And I was like, dear Lord, oh my God, what did I just do?
Daniel. Oh, no.
Literally, oh no. So what I do is I wait a little bit, like I go to the gym, I have like a panic workout.
He's like stressing the whole time. Like,
Yeah.
mid-set, he's like,
Oh my God, oh
he's
my
like, I
God.
can't.
Yeah. So when I come back home from the gym, my head's a little bit more clear. And then what I do is I'm just going to add the Built credit card to Venmo because you can add credit cards to Venmo to make payments.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, let's give that a shot.
Yeah.
And then I send the payment. It goes through. So I'm like, holy
like, oh.
cow. Goes through, just linked with the credit card. And I was like, I have never seen any research like this.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no data points on this.
Is this new?
Is this
Like,
new?
Is this possible? Can I do this?
And then what I realize is when I sent that payment, it's not a payment between friends. It is now a business transaction. Meaning the seller, aka the landlord, takes a 3% hit.
Which he probably saw that and he's like, right when that went through, he's like,
I was like, oh my God, again. Later that day, we get a screenshot from our landlord being like, hey,
you owe us
yeah,
$200, $300. And you're like,
yep.
oh.
Got one of those. And then I sent, by that time, Built everything synced up again. So I got the 2 deposit verifications. This was the same day. So I'm like, wow, of course, it happens in like 6 hours when I need it the most, right?
When I need it the most.
Literally. So then everything links up. And I was like, okay, I'm verified for $3,500. Let me just try to send like 200 real quick and see what happens. And then it works through the bank account. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me.
I guess the reason why it didn't work originally?
I don't know.
It just didn't work.
But there's actually more to that story. So the cool thing is the second payment that I sent, it was covered by Rent Protect. So I sent the $200, but then they reimbursed me $200 for Rent Protect.
Meaning,
which was pretty cool.
That the 3% that you paid, they protected that because you're paying rent.
I don't know how that happened.
Wow.
I don't know why that happened, but
interesting.
I'm here for it.
Hey, you're like, if that evens things out, that's all good.
Yeah. I got the points for it, and then I also got the rent day bonus. So I got the full $1,000 for the rent day bonus on that, which is just, chef's kiss.
Of course.
So almost 5,000 points in one day. I'm like, oh, credit card confessions.
Credit card confessions.
Exactly. So what ended up happening after is every time I would try to just like send Venmo for like a PG&E bill or like whatever, like a Best Buy payment to a friend, it would get denied on everything. I was like, I got thousands of dollars in my checking account right now.
Why is it?
So I chatted Venmo support.
Yeah.
I also called Built.
Yeah.
And I was threatening to just like close my account. I was like, if I cannot pay rent, I'm going to close my account.
100%. Because it's like, you don't want to run into the same issue.
This is the one reason why I have this card and it's not working. I'm going to close my account. I don't care. And then they're like, oh my gosh, we're so sorry. You should definitely reach out to Venmo, blah, blah. And I'm like, this is not a Venmo issue.
This is you.
This is you. Bill. I need you to fix it.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, it was a Venmo issue.
It was a Venmo issue.
My Venmo account for some reason was flagged. So they were just denying payments and things like that. They submitted something to whoever. And they were like, we're going to submit like an emergency. So like the next 24 hours, if you need to send it, you know? And so everything was cleared up, but yeah.
Still, that was quite the roller coaster. Just by just paying rent like a normal, like you mentioned, the main reason why you got this card is to pay rent. Yep. And then now that it's like,
so I'm no longer responsible for the whole rent. Right, so we have reverted back to standard operating procedures where my girlfriend takes care of rent payments, but I sent her my share
I
through
see.
builds and through Venmo,
So
and
at least
that
Daniel can get something out of this.
so I get
Something out of the
points.
card.
Yeah,
That's good. That's good.
yeah.
She was like, no. We're not gonna do that again.
We're not doing that
You're
again,
like,
no.
nah.
And I'm not even gonna ask. Doesn't even matter.
It doesn't even matter.
You gotta take your L's and you gotta take your wins. You know what I'm saying?
I completely agree.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
So that's my credit card confession. Quite a doozy.
Definitely not as, I guess, exciting as my story that I'm about
Yours
to
is
share.
real exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
All right. Yeah. Tell us about it.
Basically, to give a rundown, this is recently, right? So, from last episode, we kind of talked about me potentially looking for my next credit card. What's going to give me, I guess, the most for points? How am I going to utilize this credit card in many, different ways that I'll benefit from? And, I've been, chatting and, I've discussed this with Daniel and I'm like, maybe the Amex green card, right? And the only reason why is because not recently, but soon I'm going on a trip to SoCal, right? And I'm like, for me, I'm the planner. I'm like that. I want to book the Airbnb. I want to book the rental car. I want to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say because I want to get the points, but I definitely.
It's all about the points.
It's
It
all
is
about
all
the
about the
points.
points.
It's all about the points.
Hit us
literally.
with my name is Stefan and I booked the Airbnb.
My name's Stefan and I booked the Airbnb.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
rental car.
Exactly.
And no, nothing else.
And then everyone else is just like, my name is Daniel and my name is Stefan and I booked the rental car.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah. So I'm like, I'm gonna be booking this trip. I'm gonna be spending more than $2,000 on this. So I'm like, I might as well get something from it. Might as well get something from it, but I want to make sure that I can utilize my cards. And
We
get the
want
most out of it.
to maximize the points.
There
So
you
we
go.
want to get
Yeah.
as many points as possible from like natural spend,
For sure.
right?
For sure.
And you have the Venture X, which is a great catch-all card, 2X, but we wanted a little bit more.
Exactly. So then that's when I did my research, and I'm like, Amex Green Card. I'm like, that looks like a good option, right? I think it's, what is it, 4 or 3? I always forget.
3 points on all travel.
3 points.
Yeah.
3
So it's
points.
essentially
That's for rental. That's for
all travel, car rentals,
rental.
Airbnbs,
That's
transit.
for transit too.
Yeah.
I think if you take Uber, you probably get some points
Correct,
back on
yeah.
that. And it's $150 annual fee. So
Yeah.
for me, I'm like, dude, this is a no-brainer card, especially with this trip coming up too. So I'm like, you want to know what? Let's do it, right? So with booking Airbnbs, you need to be precise because if you don't book in, I guess I want to say maybe a month and a half to 2 months in advance, all these Airbnbs, the good ones, are going to get taken up, meaning that you're going to be spending an arm and a leg for all right Airbnb. So I'm like, I got to get this ASAP. So we were looking. I was on FaceTime with all my buddies. We found one. I'm like, cool. I'm like, shoot, let me take a look
Yeah.
and see if maybe I should just apply for that Amex Green.
Found the Airbnb.
I found the Airbnb, and I'm like, you want to know what? Let me apply.
Yeah.
Because I was under the impression, like, hey, in the past, I've applied for Amex. I have the Amex Gold, right?
Yeah.
I've applied for the Amex Gold. I've been able to add it as my Apple Pay. I'm like, if I apply for this, I can just add it in my Apple Pay and book that Airbnb right there.
Yep.
So, and kind of sidetracking a little bit, having this discussion with Daniel, and this is a good learning lesson for everyone else too. If you already have the American Express Gold, if you already have the American Express Platinum, right, and if you are trying to get a lower tier card, you are not getting that intro bonus offer.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
You are not getting that intro bonus offer, and. I did my own research and I was like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. No, in the future, if you have a gold or a platinum and you are planning on, I guess, downgrading in a sense, right? But still having that card, just downgrade. Just downgrade. Daniel can talk a little bit more on it too.
Definitely,
I guess, on the reasonings why.
Yeah. So Stefan and I had this conversation, and then also in my chat with Anthony, we also had this conversation, and the question essentially was, do you regret not starting with the green first? At the time, I told him, no, I don't, because it's only 40,000 points, right? Boy, was I wrong.
What that 40 is.
Yep. So Stefan and I were having a conversation about the pros and cons of, do we just apply for the green card and forgo the welcome offer, obviously?
Yeah.
Or do we downgrade our gold to the green? And then once we downgrade, we do our purchases for Airbnb, for the planning, for the trip, whatever. And then you will get an upgrade offer back to the gold, which is where you get a targeted offer. It varies between like how much spend and how much points,
Yeah.
but we could be looking at essentially the welcome offer of the green as an upgrade offer for the gold. Like it is consistent. It happens virtually every single time.
Yeah.
When I first got my gold card, I had an upgrade offer to the platinum, which was like spend $3,000 and we'll give you 70,000 points, which is just like
That's a no-brainer.
it's ridiculous,
That is ridiculous.
right?
What the heck?
I didn't have the platinum at the time, so I decided to just apply for the platinum
Yeah.
because 175,000, right?
You cannot beat that whatsoever.
Correct. So
Wow.
Stefan had a kind of existential crisis where we had to make a decision, or he had to make a decision. Do I get the green or do I downgrade the gold? And this dude, you want to tell him the reason? What happened and why you did it? Yeah. Getting the cards out. So this guy, instead of downgrading, he decides to keep his current gold. Why? Show them.
I like the color.
For the color.
I love the color. All right. It's exclusive. It's limited time. I couldn't.
Couldn't do it.
I just couldn't do it. I'll be
Couldn't
completely
do it.
honest.
And then I
compared to
think
that.
I think the part that is just like the best out of all this is what transpired literally within 24 hours of you applying and getting approved for your brand new green card. Yeah, why don't you tell them?
Yeah, so so basically when I applied for it, right, I'm like, we got to book this Airbnb ASAP. So I'm like looking in my emails and I'm like, okay, there's no option to add for Apple Pay. I'm like, huh, that's odd. So I hop on the chat and I'm like, hey, is there any way you guys can just send me like a virtual card number just so I can input that into Airbnb just so I can
Yep.
get my points, right? You know, like we've been talking about, the main reason why we get certain cards is to maximize our points. And
Yep.
in this case scenario, they're like, "Oh nope, we're just we are unavailable to do that." And I was like, "Huh?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "What the heck?" So I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" So and
Just seeing the Airbnb just plans go down the
I'm
drain.
like, "No," because we already had one Airbnb that was good,
Yeah.
and then we lost it. So I'm like, oh, we got to hop on one immediately, and we ended up finding a good one. But I was actually with Daniel during this time. I'm like, dude, I'm showing him. I'm like,
Yep.
This card is not gonna come for another 4 or 5 days." I'm like, I can't wait that long.
Yep.
I can't. And he's like, dude, just put it on that Venture X. Get the 2 times. That's it, man. Just end
Yep.
it. He's like, threatened to leave. Be like, hey, man, just
Message them, and be
message.
like,
Yeah, no, literally.
can you send me a virtual card? Because I've been an American Express card holder for
Since 2023, I think.
almost 3 years at this point, and every
Yeah.
single card that I've gotten has a temporary number. I can add it
Yep.
to Apple Pay.
Yep.
And then we chat them, and they're like, yeah, some cards just don't have that feature. And I'm like,
What?
what?
There's no way. Yeah, no. So, moral of the story, definitely consult with your buddies for
Yes.
sure, and kind of hear their, I
Mhm.
guess, perspective. I will say, I do like the color of the gold card, so I'm not.
I
too,
got that color too.
It's
Yeah,
because you can't get it anymore.
you can't.
You can't. So it's yeah. But consult with your buddies. Maybe pre-plan a little bit better too. I
Mhm.
should have already been applied for this card a couple weeks ago if I had these plans.
Yeah,
And also change your shipping address to your address that you live at now,
that too.
not your parents' house. Or else you're gonna have to wait even longer to get that
Correct.
get that card. Get that
Yeah.
card. Yeah.
Damn. So that's a confession right there.
Yeah.
Man.
I will have to say though, that card is pretty neat. $150, right? Is the annual fee, but
Clear credit.
clear credit, right? And that's how much? 1
It's going up actually. It's 209 now.
209,
Yeah.
209, and they reimburse it.
Yep.
Which is actually not bad. So
Yep. It's essentially a overpowered Chase Sapphire Reserve.
that is a great way.
Because
to put
Chase
it.
Sapphire Reserve is one of the only other cards that gives you 3x on all travel, at least for now.
At least for now.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see what happens. Those new designs were wild, but so yeah, lots of learns, lots of confessions. These are things that happen to a whole lot of different people. So
Yeah.
to be able to share one of the interesting and unique things that occur to us on a daily, monthly, weekly basis.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people can relate with that. And we're gonna have a lot more cooking, especially. It's not like I do this stuff on purpose,
Yeah.
right? But sometimes things just happen,
It just
and
happens. It just
that's
happens.
it.
You see, you're scrolling, you're like, oh, wait. You click a link, and then
Yep.
you're like, you scroll a little bit more, and you're like,
Yep.
you click another link,
Yep.
and then you open up another tab, and you start comparing, and then you're like, huh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
okay. And annual fee's not that bad.
Yeah.
And then one thing
Submit.
leads to the other, and then there's something in the mail.
Yeah. Luckily for me, I'm currently in American Express pop-up jail, so I won't be getting any.
He said pop-up jail.
Do you know what that is?
I'm guessing because you already have too many.
So pop-up jail essentially is when you apply for an American Express card,
Yeah.
when you click or press submit,
Yeah.
there's going to be a pop-up that says, "Hey, based on some immediate criteria that we've seen, you're not eligible for the welcome offer." Yeah. Would you like to proceed with the
And then
application?
he's like, absolutely not.
And
We're
then
not doing
yeah,
it.
so withdraw application
And why
immediately.
is that? Do you think just because they're catching on to
No,
all
I
these
think they have
points
an
he's bringing in?
algorithm. I think they have an
Yeah.
algorithm. My good friend is currently in American Express pop-up jail. He's been trying to get the platinum card for like 6 months now. And I'm just like, American Express, get your life together,
Yeah.
because like low key I need a referral bonus, which is great, but also
He
like
said I low key need a referral
my
bonus.
boy needs his platinum card, you
Yeah.
know?
No, for sure.
So that's just a saga in itself. We can talk more about that in another video. I think
100%.
it's definitely worth it. But yeah, so those are our credit card confessions.
Credit card confessions. More to come. Hopefully not,
Yeah.
but most likely
Yeah,
on my end.
we'll talk about some more pickups that we got, some more things that we're doing with our credit cards. We'll probably come back with a video later on more lessons learned,
Yeah.
more pro tips.
Yeah.
I think there's a
100%.
lot going on right now with just how you can finesse credit cards and utilize credit cards to maximize. So I
Yeah.
think the moral of the story here is, how do you maximize your cards, but also not have to jump through fiery hula hoops to do it?
For sure. Learn
So
from our mistakes
learn from our
and
mistakes
everyone else's.
and everyone else's, and then next episode you can learn from our successes, because we'll be talking about that.
Valid.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
cool.
Well,
So I'm Card Harder,
I'm card smarter.
Stefan, Daniel.
Yes, sir.
There we go.